With your best self.
You've got a little blue-eyed soul in you.
We've got some brand new music to start this edition of Sunrise Extra. I'm adding words as we go.
Happy
Wait
Friday!
For it. Wait for it. Keep it up, Ryan. Wait for it, Rod. Here we go. You ready? Get down with your bad self. Yeah. Woo.
I like it.
Thank you.
That's all in. That's all. Everything is okay on a Friday, right?
Yes.
That's what we like.
Even debate talk is okay on a Friday morning. The debate was the big story last night, of course. It continues to be what we're talking about this morning here on Sunrise Extra. Without getting too political, can that be done? Can you talk about politics without getting too political? I think we all agree.
Getting snarky.
Okay.
You can't do it without getting political, but you can do it without getting, I would use another word, but I'm not gonna. I'll just say snarky.
There was less snark last night than we saw 3 weeks ago during the first debate. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, there were more complete sentences. I mean, I think that's the thing as we look at some video there from Nashville, Tennessee, President Trump and Joe Biden. Kristen Welker, our network sister friend. She moderated. I thought she did a good job. And yes, they had the mute button. I was super curious about how that was going to play out.
Right.
You know, I kind of envisioned them muting at whatever time they wanted to, but basically it was just off the top of the segments. So they made sure that each guy had 2 minutes to say his piece, and then they could kind of go back and forth a little bit.
And don't you think that both candidates had negative backlash for the way the first debate went? And I think on top of the new format and the mute button, I felt like both candidates were also more aware that, you know, people did not want to repeat, the American public, of what we saw in round one of these debates, and thankfully we did not get it.
Yeah, I think the Republican Party as well, from reporting from the New York Times, I think they used the word panicked. They did not want to see the president go in there with that same debate strategy. For him, especially off the top, he was very restrained. He stayed in the parameters of what Kristen asked him to do. And you know, it got a little, you know, back and forth as it went on, as debate should.
It's supposed to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But off the top, that was a completely different Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know, I thought for a moment we were going to hear from the president, but no, absolutely. And I was watching on KHEW because that's where we work, right? So I'm thinking, you know, you could watch it on many stations. I watched it on our station, then NBC had their coverage afterwards, and there was everybody that came on from Chuck Todd to Lester Holt. They all were saying how well that it was moderated last night, right? It was a well-moderated debate. And I thought, are they just giving love to their coworker here, Kristen Welker? Because I thought to myself, really, I think that mute button was a key factor. I mean, she did do a great job. So again, nothing against her, or not to take away from her performance last night. And there we see Kristen Welker doing what was a very good job last night. But I thought it also helped that they had that mute button, and it never seemed awkward. I thought maybe it's going to look awkward at times when you're muting the president or the former vice president, but it really just seemed to make that deal flow last night. They had those moments where they could get their points across, and then we still had those moments that, like you said, Brenda and Rod, you want to see in a debate. Those moments where, you know, the two are kind of going at it with each other.
How late did you stay up last night, Drew? You watched the entire thing.
The debate ended before the Eagles game ended. So, of course, I was going to stay up to see the end of the Eagles game last night.
Come on, now you split your attention, which
I did.
You are a huge Eagles fan, so nobody's, you know, calling you out for that.
14-year-old Drew very much wanted to watch the entire Eagles game. 46-year-old KHW employee Drew thought you should probably watch a little bit of this debate last night. So the Eagles game actually stunk for a long while, which made the debate easier to watch. But yeah, the debate wrapped up, watched a little post-debate coverage, and then jumped over to the football game.
There you go. People are weighing in. Shania says, good morning. Good morning back at you. Jeff Lucas, man, you are channeling my thoughts. Friday in all caps.
Yeah.
Renee Robertson, good morning to you too. Much more civilized debate for sure. Wish we could erase the first one from our minds.
You know, Jeff says he breaks it down a little more when he says he's still undecided, talking about Jeff Lucas. Long-time Sunrise Extra viewer. Thank you, Jeff. He says he's still undecided after 3 debates, and I guess he's calling those split town halls the second of the 2 debates, or the 3 debates. So anyways, he says after 3 debates, he has the score at 1, 1, and 1. He says he needs more time to make a decision. You don't have a lot of time, Jeff, but you do have some time. I was curious, kind of where he broke that down. If he gave one of the debates to President Trump and the other to Joe Biden, and he called a 3rd debate a tie, where was the breakdown there for you, Jeff?
Yeah, interesting. Jeff, if you feel like it, I would love, because I think undecided voters, especially because the candidates are so different.
Right.
It's not like you've got 2 that are pretty close together and you're like, I can't quite decide. What are you looking for? Just type it out and let us know. Let's see, Terry Hogenkamp says the first half hour, Trump actually sounded almost presidential. But in the second half hour, I thought, there he is. Let's see, what does Stanford say? I started reading before I fully digested. He said, after last night, I made my mind up. I'm voting Brenda Braxton and Nina Melhoff for 2020. Our girl Neens is going to be back on Monday.
You sure about
that? Is it Tuesday?
No, I'm just saying I've seen some family photos in Palm Springs, and it looks like she's having too good of a time to come back here to Portland.
No, she has to come back. We need Nina.
I'm still waiting for Jeff Lucas to weigh in on where he breaks those debates down, winner, and tie. But we have some more viewer comments we can share from earlier this morning. We posted on Facebook, what are your reactions to last night's debate? And we start with this comment from Shannon. She says, so much better than last time for both candidates. My thought is that these comments are going to be 50-50, just like the votes are going to be. Yeah, I think everyone is still of the belief that this is going to be, like it was 4 years ago, a very close race right down to election night. How about another comment? This one from Rob Collins. Rob says, everyone has already made up their mind. I don't agree with that. But he goes on to say, everyone has made up their mind and thinks their side won. Nobody watched it unbiasedly, so they've seen and heard exactly what they wanted to see and hear. I would say there are a lot of people like that, but I don't know if everyone is decided, so to speak, yet right now. Crystal Howard says, I already voted, so no reason to watch.
Well, that hurts the ratings.
And then Paul says, surprisingly good debate. Both candidates were able to get their points across. I doubt it changed any minds.
That's what, you can read one more if you can see that one, Brenda.
Yeah,
I can't.
Angel, it says, I could only watch about 15 minutes before I got tired of it and turned it off. Dan McFarling, I like hearing him on the stream here. He's got some thoughtful comments. He says, politics is the formation and implementation of public policy. Politics is a very important participatory, that's a hard word for me, sport. Involvement should be encouraged. Partisan politics is what we sometimes need to avoid.
By the way, Brenda, that's a hard word for you. I have many hard words, and these are my list of words that every day I try to avoid saying because I have a hard time saying them out loud. So, you only have one. I've got pages upon pages. I was thinking last night, like, geez, shouldn't we do these debates? Moving forward, should these debates be earlier on in the election year when people are still forming their thoughts? And although I understand some are still trying to decide, but like that one viewer said, they've already sent in their ballot.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I do think, though, historically, looking back on all the elections, people don't key in too early. Right? You've got some of the highlights, you have this massive field, but I think a lot of people are busy living their lives, and it's not until it gets closer that they're like, okay, now this is what I have to focus on.
Maybe it's because we do the debate so late. If all the networks said, hey, we're going to put this debate on between the top 2 candidates on, August the 15th, I think we would turn our attention to that.
So not super early.
Yeah,
I
would think
later in
the candidates would support that because it gives them a chance, would give them a chance to get out in front of the electorate before so many people already formed their opinions and made up their choice. So, Drew, I agree with you.
Jennifer Neiman says a third party is what I'm looking for. Kenny Brown says Trump has it. Arlene, good morning to you. Human compassion would be great. I like that. Yeah. And then Amy says Trump 2020. Anything else? Brandon Bachman, hey, good to hear you. I haven't seen him on the stream lately. He said that he watched it last night.
Sheila Speck says she watched all of the debate, even though they had already voted in her house. She says her mind hasn't really changed at all. She says maybe they could spread out the debates. And she says she did watch it last night right here on KGW. Thank you for putting your eyeballs on our station last night. Spreading out the debates, I feel like there was, in the end, a pretty good spread between, and I don't consider those town halls to be debates, right? I mean, that was kind of
Agreed.
in replacement
Correct.
of.
Yeah.
But if you're going with the first and then last night being the second, there was a pretty good gap of 3 weeks between those two debates. I don't know how much further we could spread them out, but I do go back to that idea of maybe doing them earlier in the season. And I would like to know if, did anyone have their mind changed in one way or the other last night? Were you an undecided voter going in? Have you formed a pretty solid opinion now based on last night? Because I think, isn't that really what the intent of the debates is in the beginning, is to, sway the voters?
Make your case.
Make your case.
Absolutely.
Get people on your side. And so I do agree that most people go into the debates knowing who they're going to vote for, who they favor, and they watch it with sort of that perception, if you will. I just would love to hear from someone who either didn't know before last night or still isn't sure, but maybe last night swayed them one way or the other, and then, of course, why.
Bonnie on the stream says, I still didn't hear a clear, concise COVID plan.
Right.
So, and that was the big topic. They led off with that last night. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle it? Let's see. What else?
Andrea Gale says, appreciate it that it was more civil. Andrea watching us live this morning on Facebook.
Let's see. Oh my gosh.
We try to... we don't try to edit your comments. Those can run freely on the Facebook stream. But I do make an effort to try to be pretty balanced in which comments we read, to be quite honest with you.
And I also try and get through them,
right, to
at least put eyes on them once. Do you want to run Catherine Cook's story that she aired last night? I thought it was kind of interesting. The Baghdad Theater in Southeast had a watch party, and people had some interesting things to say. Why don't we take a peek at that real quick?
I talked about a xenophobia in a different context.
Portland wasn't the focal point it was during the candidates' last presidential debate, but Portlanders were watching Thursday, some from the Baghdad Theater in Southeast Portland. The venue hosted this socially distanced watch party.
Since I think last time everyone had the experience of just watching it alone in their houses and seeing how bad it was.
This time,
much better than the first one.
I thought it was significantly better than the first debate.
Much better than last time, for sure.
Tarek Silva says from his point of view, the candidates have more in common than many might suggest.
To think that any of them are any different from each other, they both have sexual assault allegations. They both have said mildly racist things. So at that point, my vote is based on what are you going to do for me right now?
Many believe how the candidates articulated that during the debate boiled down to strategy.
Biden did very, very well when he built up a head of steam and got both his emotion and his intelligence engaged in the debate. Trump did very well when he realized that there was a time limit on how much he could talk and restrained himself, worked with the format.
I'm glad there was time because they cut the mics. There was time for both parties, both people to express what they had in their mind. I thought it was very clarifying in a lot of ways for me.
And I don't know if it changed many minds.
Joe Gant is director of rhetoric and media studies at Lewis and Clark College. For voters still on the fence, he says both candidates showed strength in debate strategy. He says Trump stuck with the theme.
I thought that the president did a good job on one particular message, which is you had 8 years or you had 47 years. He consistently went back to that message. And I think that was an effective strategy in this particular debate.
Gant believes Biden excelled with specific examples.
Every time that the vice president was able to look in the camera and say, this is what this policy means for you, he was able to score points. And so I think he had several strong moments.
And now it's time to vote. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
All right, there you go. That's Catherine reporting last night for us at that watch party in Portland. We had a comment come in while that story was playing that I can share with you right now, and it comes to us from Tanya M. Connor. I just thought this was a thoughtful comment, Tanya. She says, we're hurting as a nation right now, and we're struggling to pay bills. We're struggling to put food on the table. She says she was not undecided. COVID is why she tuned in last night, and she was really disappointed that it was largely, in her opinion, ignored last night during the debate.
And then you were asking about undecided voters. Jerome Huddleston says, I was undecided and voted Biden this year. So
I did see that. We asked for a comment from an undecided voter, and we got one there from Jerome. Thank you for watching this morning, Jerome. There are some deadlines coming up this week, or this next 7-day period, if you will. This week, in my opinion, is over as of today because it's Friday. But coming up next week, of course, the deadlines approach to mail in your ballot. If that's how you plan to vote this year, you can always drop off your ballot at a drop-off box up to Election Day. I always think it's interesting that in Washington, you can actually register to vote in person up to 8 o'clock on election night. I'm here to register and vote. Let's go. Of course, that deadline has now since passed in Oregon if you did want to register this year. Too late in Oregon.
We're going to continue having this conversation up to Election Day and way past because, you know, I mean, things are going to be happening. Yeah. But Rod, Drew did mention the week being over and kind of looking ahead to the weekend. Can you give us a little something to pivot and talk forecast?
Yeah, I'm stepping away to back up and flip my weather maps to the 7-day if Brian wants to put that up. So, you know, it was cold out again last night. Some of you hit freezing. Clouds are now starting to move in. It's raining solidly up around Seattle and down to Chehalis. That's moving toward us. So by noon, this becomes a wet Friday, and then the rain continues at times into tonight. Snow levels are going to be 8,000 feet, much higher than when I had some travel concerns earlier in the week. Now those travel concerns are no more. And then for your weekend, you wake up tomorrow morning, still clouds. I suppose there is a chance for a lingering shower, but for the most part, tomorrow it clears out. And then we have a sunny weekend, but east winds will be blowing both days. Not horrifically so, but gusts to 35, for example, out in Multnomah County. So it's going to be a chilly weekend with the sun shining. And when those east winds start to fade away by Monday morning, then we get back into more widespread freezing temperatures once again.
Right. Hey, listen, Rod and Brenda, can I share this with you as we...
real quick, Drew.
Yes.
Let me tease. So I'm told around noon today, or early this afternoon, my annual winter outlook will be published and live on kgw.com. We did a video that's going to be about the same time put on our YouTube channel, and then we're going to be talking about my winter outlook here on Sunrise next Monday morning. Sorry to interrupt, Drew. Go ahead.
No, it's great. That's a great reason to interrupt because I know Brenda, like I do, we actually look forward to that winter outlook. Sometimes we'll give you a hard time about it, but that's all in good fun. It really is cool to read. And what I'd like to talk about on Monday, we're running out of time now, but on Monday, if we talk about it during Sunrise Extra, I want to know exactly what the heck goes in to your winter outlook, like the work you put in, what you're looking at, you know, how you come up with the numbers you come up with and the predictions that you come up with.
First thought that popped into my mind was coffee. Lots of coffee.
No, this man, I'll tell you right now.
Fueled by caffeine.
So real quick, the INSO cycle, which is basically, is it going to be a La Nina winter, a neutral winter, an El Nino winter? Last winter turned out to be a weak El Nino season. So I take that. I don't put the outlook out until about this time of year because I want to see that there's confidence in the lockdown of what that cycle is going to be. So this year, a moderate La Nina. And then basically I just go back to 1950 and I run all the averages down to the degrees Celsius of what the water temperature in the equatorial region off of South America is expected to be. I run those data sets going back to 1950 for mountain snow, valley snow, temperatures, what months are most active. Are there trends that I look at and go, wow, that's really a trend, that's really a trend, that's really a trend. So then my outlook is basically playing the percentages over those cycles from the past 60, 70 years.
Do we have that mute button, Brenda? The mute button?
No, clearly we don't have one. But you know what? I love that you are so detailed. I count on the fact that you are the consummate professional, science whiz. That was not my forte. I'm a bottom line girl. The thing I want out of your long range winter forecast, how much is it going to snow in Portland? Because that's where I live. And all the, how you get there, I trust you, buddy. I trust you. I don't need to know that.
Director Brian muted him. You're on mute right now, Rod. Now listen, you went into such detail. I said, let's talk about this.
What?
No, your mic's not broken. Brian
Fired
muted
up.
you. Rod, you can put his mic back up, of course.
Brian
Rod,
muted me?
I thought we were kidding, having some fun. You know, it was like a debate joke.
What?
Why are we? I thought we were going to talk about this on Monday. That's my only concern.
We are talking about it on Monday. I will tell you though, the biggest.
Hear it again.
One thing that I really feel like I would be stunned if it doesn't come true.
Okay.
Is that it's not going to be a dry winter, meaning we're going to see at least normal, if not above normal rainfall. Last year's water season came in at roughly 8 inches below normal. So I'm thinking we're going to have upwards of a foot more rain this coming season than we did a year ago. That's my highest confidence call. We'll get into the other points, including snow, on Monday.
You are the best, Rod.
I'll never forget a few years ago when we had all that snow in the wintertime, and then you came out around March or April. It was probably February or March when you came out with the Week of Hope.
The Week of Hope, yes.
The Week of Hope in like 2017, because we had so much rain and really so much snow that year, even down to the valley floor, and we were all like, when is this winter going to end? And Rod came out with his Week of Hope, because we had a week where it was like sunny and 46.
Right. Yes.
Didn't the Week of Hope actually fall flat? Am I remembering that correctly?
Rod, you're getting some love. Tracy Chambla says, wow, Rod, that's amazing. And then I love Jeff Lucas's comment.
Uh-oh, what's he say?
Says, how does someone that worked at McDonald's and an airline attendant get into equatorial studies?
Well, I lost those first 2 jobs, and this is what was left. Yeah, that's the answer.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we ended this. Liz, she actually tweeted me and says, in all seriousness, she said, hey, why do you tease Rod Hill so much? It looks petty.
Yeah.
Do you not get along with your on-air coworker, she asked. I responded, and I said, petty is in the eye of the beholder. Truth be told, KHW Rod Hill and I are many years into a beautiful bromance. And then she said, well, that's nice to hear. I'm glad that I was seeing things incorrectly.
Roll that tape of Drew and I holding hands and skipping down the park blocks a couple years ago. Do we have that video?
We could recreate it.
I can attest to that. Yeah, there is a bromance going on. You know what? And that's kind of a little bit of our edgy news sensibility. It gets pretty fun. Fun?
Yes, what?
But that's just the way people kid.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when people see it, they don't understand it, but we're all good with it.
Man,
wouldn't you agree?
If this was 2019, I'd be hugging you right now, man.
Yes.
Hugging you.
Okay, well, it's not.
And kissing you, Brenda.
Boy, finally a good reason that there's 2020.
Hugging both of you.
Are we done?
Yeah, we should be. Good night, all, and have a blessed weekend.